Today we're in Ohio, and we're going to be taking a look at the home behind this white picket fence. It was the home of a famous person. That famous person was James A. Garfield, the 20th President of the United States. James A. Garfield bought this home in 1876. When he bought it, it initially only had 9 rooms. Between 1877 to 1880, James and his wife Lucretia would add 11 more rooms to give it a total of 20 rooms for their large family. The home was known as Lawnfield. As you walk up to the house, one of the first things you'll see is a sign. This sign is of importance because it tells you one of the things that James A. Garfield was the first for. Take a closer look at the porch, and then we'll talk about the sign. This sign gives you the information about the first presidential front porch campaign, as it was called. Garfield did this from his home Lawnfield in Ohio, and he did it because he was an excellent speaker, whereas the previous candidates would have whatever party they will represent, one of their speakers out of the party do it for them. Now let us go on in and take a look inside of James and Lucretia Garfield's home. Now let's head on upstairs and take a look at some of the bedrooms and the furnishings up there. Next, we're going to head on downstairs again, and we're going to go to my favorite part of the house tour that I saw, and that is what is essentially known as the first presidential library to exist. James Garfield's wife and family added this memorial wing to the house after his death. Here you'll notice a piece of furniture that definitely belonged to Garfield. It has his initials of JAG engraved on it. Before we go outside to take a look at the outside of the house and also an additional building that was of very extreme importance to Garfield, we'll take a look at a few of his personal effects. The first thing we're going to take a look at is a wire mattress bed that was made for Garfield. It was to be placed on a steamer when he was in condition enough to return to his home. Sadly, he never recuperated enough to be able to use this bed. Next, you'll be looking at a top hat and boots that Garfield wore while he was president. Some of these things are behind glass, so they reflect a little bit. I'm sorry about that. And then you'll see a hat that was worn by Mrs. Garfield, and then a straw hat that Garfield also wore. Here's a family cradle that is inscribed with the birth dates of the Garfield descendants. And of course, they also have a photo that is from the house when Garfield was living in it. On July the 2nd, 1881, an assassin put 2 bullets into President Garfield. He would survive for another 2.5 months before dying from these injuries. And during that time, he still acted as president. But he only wrote 1 letter during that time, and it was to his mother, giving her hope that he was going to be okay. And here's a copy of that. And next is a depiction of what the last days of Garfield looked like, with him in the bed, unable to get up and move around, and Lucretia by his bedside. The last thing we're going to look at before we head outside is a casting of Garfield's death mask and hands. As we look around outside, you're going to notice the house is very nice for its day and time. There's also a campaign office on the grounds there at Longfield that Garfield used, and so we'll just take a look inside in a bit. The last thing we're going to be taking a look at before leaving Longfield is what is known as Lucretia's Windmill. In 1894, her husband had already been dead a few years, but she had knew there was a need for the windmill to keep the farm going. And so her windmill stood until 1939 when it got in bad shape and the wind damage and all, and they ended up tearing it down. But thanks to donations from a private donor in 1998, the 62-foot windmill was restored to its original beauty. Next, we're heading on over to the James Garfield Memorial Site. He is buried in Lakeview Cemetery in Cleveland, Ohio. James Garfield and his wife Lucretia's burial site is a massive sight to see. The round tower part of the memorial is 50 feet in diameter and it's 180 feet high. There is stained glass windows inside representing the original 13 colonies plus the state of Ohio. There are 5 panels on the outside of the memorial depicting the life and death of Garfield. These include more than 100 figures, and all of them are life-size. Now that we've taken a look on the outside and seen how massive it is, we'll go on to the inside. And the first thing you'll notice when you go in the middle of the memorial, is a large statue of Garfield. Now, after taking a look at the statue, we'll go and take a look at the final resting place for James Garfield and his wife Lucretia. You'll get a chance to view the 2 bronze caskets of Lucretia and James Garfield, with James is, of course, being covered by an American flag. Also, there is 2 urns in the memorial that contain the ashes of James and Lucretia's daughter, Mary, which went by Molly, Garfield Stanley Brown, and her husband, Joseph Stanley Brown. Now I'm going to just show you around a little bit of things that are in the memorial. This wraps up my video on James Garfield, the 20th President of the United States. I will leave more information in my description box about this video. But before closing, there was a surprise when I noticed there was another famous person that was buried nearby Garfield's memorial. So let's take a look at that. The other gravesite that I was mentioning I'd like for you to see is that of Eliot Ness. He is famous for the TV series The Untouchables, was based on his lifestyle, but a lot of people may just remember him more as the FBI lawman that captured Al Capone. Well, I hope you've liked this video, and if you have, please give me a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel, I'd love for you to. Thanks again.